Hi guys, Jordan from B&P Campers. Just doing your handover video on your Bessecarr E460. You have to bear with me because it is quite windy outside, but we'll do our best. So under the bonnet, on the left hand side here, you've got the washer fluid, power steering fluid underneath, and your engine coolant. Brake fluid goes in this reservoir attached to the servo down the back. Engine oil gets topped up and filled up from there. And you should have a dipstick down here, yellow dipstick. If you wanted to jump start the van, the positive terminal is here under this cap, and the negative over here. And your air filter sits under this little box here. The way you actually open the bonnet up is just inside the passenger near side door, and it's that little lever just in there. And to fill up the diesel, it's behind this cap here, using the ignition key. So I'll just shut that down because it's so windy. So I'll just pull this out of this little slot. So next we've got the habitation door, which has got the step in there. Fridge vents, so I've got the fridge on gas at the moment. You can feel the heat coming up through the top. This locker at the back here is just for storage, so it's underneath the near side settee at the back. But underneath you have got your waste drain, so if you pull it out of those two little handles there, that'll drop down and then it'll empty out all the waste, so that's where you can sort of put it into a roll away, like the one that's in the bathroom at the moment. Spare wheel attached here with the tow bar at the bottom. And then we've got the Truma, the boiler vent basically, so if you're going to heat your water up on the gas, so I'm doing now, I can feel hot air coming out through these top of this vent here. So that's how you can double check that. Your hookup point, so if you're in a campsite or at home and you want to use your plug sockets or the fridge on 240 and things like that, that's what you need to have in there. External aerial point, max view, someone's has fitted there. So then we've got the gas locker, so I'll open that up 1 second. So you just need to push these little buttons in, both of them at the same time, and then that'll open up. So you've got space in here for 2 of these 6 kilo propane bottles, or obviously you can just leave it with 1 in. So the only thing you've got to bear in mind with this setup is that you've got this little green button here. So if this bottle was off, which is not, I mean I've turned it on already now, but if this was off and I turned it on, I would then have to hold this button down for 3 seconds and then let go. And it does say that here, similar kind of thing. But yeah, that just allows the gas to come through. It's Suki motion sort of thing. It's like a safety device for when you're driving, I think. So, but basically just bear that in mind. So if you turn your gas bottle on and you find there's no gas inside the van, then you just need to come back here and push and hold this button for 3 seconds. And then the gas will come through as it should. The bottles turn on anti-clockwise, so round to the left. And if you remember to go all the way left, so you can't go any further like I have done now, when I come back to the bottle, it'll only go one way, so I know that clockwise round to the right is definitely off. I'll leave that on for the minute, so I can show you a few things working. Just close that up because it's so windy. The water cap, fresh water cap down here, we've got a little flap that opens up, and that'll be one of the circular top keys. So that'll be this one, same as all the other locks around the van as well, by the way. And so once you've unlocked it, so it's just turning it 90 degrees, that'll come out. And then if I just show you locking it, you basically push in and round to the right all the way, and then put the key in, turn it 90 degrees, take it out, and then that just spins. Cannot take that out. Toilet cassette locker next to that. Again, you have to push both of these buttons in. So I'll just do that. Can't really show you it with one hand, but so this has all been lubricated. So the lip seal on the toilet has been lubricated. So if I just take this all the way out and just show you what we've got going on. So it's all quite simple. There you go. So this is what we located underneath. So when you actually empty it out, you take this cap off here and push that and hold that little orange button down, and then that'll help you emptying it out. Pop that away. If you find one day that you go take this out and it'll only come out to about this far, you need to go back into the bathroom itself and close the flap, because you'll find that you've left it open. So, whoa, really is windy. So, what we've got in the cab, we've got a 5-speed manual gearbox, and pretty simple. If you want to put it in reverse, lift up on this little lever at the back, over and up to the top. So that'll find you reverse. Your lights and your indicators are on the left hand stalk, so the lights go on just by turning this little dial. And your washers and wipers are on the right. As soon as you start the car up, or start the van up, sorry, you should get this little reversing camera come on, which is really nice quality as well. Actually, it's a really nice little monitor. And so it's either it will always be on, or you can choose it for, you know, it will go in, only come on when you put it in reverse. So it'll be one of the two. Let me just see if I can there you go. So when you turn it on, it comes up straight away. All right, so you can switch it on and off. You know, you can have it so that it's not on all the time when you're driving, but you know, that's totally up to you. So yeah, so you got your heater setting here, so that cold on the left, hot onto the right, and then you've got 0 to 4 fan speed setting. You also got the bit where it sort of draws air from outside or recirculates here, so that's from outside, that's recirculate. And then at the top we can choose where the fan is sending the air. So you've got windscreen and feet, just feet and face, and just your face. So you can go through and really make it your own. You can lock and unlock the cab from inside the cab. So if you're inside the cab and you've got your windows shut and everything, and you want to just lock it from inside rather than pushing the button on the key or anything like that, you can do that from these two buttons here. And your hazard warning lights are just here, nice red button. So you can't get too confused. But yeah, nice and easy, nice and simple. So whilst we're inside the van, I'll just come through the back and show you a few bits here. So we've got the main control panel above the door here, so it's probably the most important part. If I just turn that light off, there you go, you can probably see that a bit better now. So the main on and off switch is obviously just here. The next one, probably the most important one, well, I think anyway, is this little tick. So if I click that now and just go through, it tells you, oh, if I go back to the beginning and show you what I actually saw, be a bit more patient. There you go, so you can see the fresh is half full, the fresh water is half full, the waste is empty. The leisure battery has got 12.1 volts and the engine's got 12.3, so they're both very good resting battery rates. Shows you how many amps are being drawn, and that's it. So you can flick through and see, you know, you see your levels and things like that. Top left hand button, we've got this one, so that's your water pump. So I've got that on at the moment. So, you know, that's the first thing you're going to want to do if you want to come into the van and actually use it. You know, get your water hot, things like that. You want to turn your pump button on first, the top left button, then come to your tap and just pull the water through. So the pump will kick in. There you go. And just pull it through until you get it nice and clear like this. Go across to the cold. There you go. So if you've not used the van for a little while, you might find that there's a little bit of air in the system and you need to sort of release that air before you can start heating the water up and things like that. So just make sure that you come here and do that first. I will get a plunger on this in a minute because it's got a little airlock in it, so I'll make sure that's draining better. The other sort of buttons here underneath the pump switch are all just for your lights. So this one at the bottom is a main on and off switch for all of the lights. All right, I'm not going to touch that because I've got a few lights on at the moment to show you, but if I switch this button now, every single light would go off. All right, so it's basically an isolator for the lights. Now this one here above it is for this light here, and this button up here, I'm not going to show you, well actually I'll probably show you in the cupboard. So it's the awning light there. Okay, so that's on at the moment. I don't know if you can see if that's on, but if I press that button now, that goes off. So that's this button here. All right, so if you had your awning out and you were sat outside underneath it, that's the button to press to get your awning light to come on and sort of light up the outside. You can also turn it on and off from this little switch on here, but personally I just think why not just leave it on all the time and just choose it from on the control panel. It's much easier. So the rest of the lights around the van, as long as you've got this button on and some of the lights are working, you can go around and work out for yourself really which lights you do and you don't like. So the bathroom, you've got a couple of lights in here, and that is this button. So you got those ones. You know, like I say, there's plenty of lights all the way around the van. I mean, you've got these lights in the front as well. You know, so if you wanted to sit in the front, you've got, you know, extra 12-volt lighting in here, so you can, you know, make use of those. But yeah, I mean, you've got light underneath the cupboard there, lights underneath all of here, so you can really mix and match. This light here is a 240-volt light, so that will only work when your hookup's plugged in. You know, if you were wondering why it wasn't working when you were pulling the lever there, so yeah, I found that out the hard way, thinking that it was broken, but it's a 240-volt light. So that'll only work when your hookup's in. Yeah, so lights, make it your own and go through and choose which ones you do and you don't like. The windows couldn't be any easier. So you've got my favorite window struts. So it's these ones. So if you unlock, I'm actually not going to go very far because the wind is really, really strong today. But if you open up this window and want to set it at a certain distance, you can then open it up and then just tighten these two up like that. And that's it. That's all you need to do. And then undo it, pull them across all the way around, and that's it. Same with the with these as well. Actually, the blinds and the fly screens, just so easy. I mean, you pull down and then just sort of push forward with your hand like that at the bottom, and that'll latch across, and then pull it back up. Same with the blind. That's it. Couldn't be easier, and that's exactly the same for every single window around the van. All right, so yeah, nice and easy. You've got a few bits in here. So you've got your Vision Plus aerial booster up there. Pull that out of the way. What have we got down there? Nothing to show you there. That back where it was. This is all just the extra bits that the customer left in previously. So again, just lots of storage under there with loads of extra bits and pieces. Same again. Although back here, I just remember now, if I pull these cushions out of the way, I'm in the offside at the back. You've got your boiler. Now the reason I'm showing you in here is because you've got this little yellow tab, and if you lifted that upright, then all of the water from the boiler would drain out. All right, so that's something to bear in mind. You need to make sure that you have that flat if you want to fill the boiler up and you actually want to use it. So really, you can just leave that how it is for now. The only time you ever actually have to really drain that out is if it gets really, really cold, you know, like minus temperatures, and then you want to drain that out from there, just so that none of the pipes freeze up with some water in it, and then they start to crack. So you just need to make sure that you keep on top of that. If it's going to be really, 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 really cold, unless you're using the van and keeping the water hot inside it, then empty it out. Right, so if we move on to gas bits now. So first off, we've got this 3-way fridge, which again, it's a simple fridge. It's, you know, it's not anything technical. Automatic energy selecting fridge. So if you go through and choose auto, it will choose the energy for you. So there you go, it's chosen gas straight away. And so all you need to do, if you want to use this fridge any which way you want, is turn it on, holding this little button down here, the on and off switch, which I've already done, so that's why we've got this little red light, blue light in there, sorry. And then go through pressing this button, and choose. So that's 12 volt, so that'll only work when your engine's running, and it'll only really do anything if the fridge is already cold. So the idea is you get the fridge cold either via the gas or the 240 volt first, so the hookup, and then only use the 12 volt for when you're driving, and then when you get to where you're going, everything will still be freezing cold. All right, so that's the only way that one works. Click again, gas, so that'll light up on its own. You don't need to do anything to it, it'll just literally do its own thing and light up. And then if your hookup plugged in, click through again, and you get to that little symbol in there, and then so you know that'll start to cool the fridge down straight away via the big 240 volt element in the back. So yeah, like I said, the 240 and the gas are the best ways to get the fridge cold, and the 12 volt won't get it cold on its own, especially if there's stuff, you know, if it's full of stuff in the fridge. So either get it cold first, perhaps the night before you go away, via the electric element or the gas, like that, and then when you come out to it the next morning, it'll be nice and cold, and you better flick over to 12 volt just for the last little bit when you're driving. And then to actually switch that off, push and hold like that, and that's your fridge totally off, and that's all you need to do. You got a freezer section in the top there that just as you pulls down. Yeah, nice and easy really. So you've got a 3-burner hob with a hot plate as well. So the hot plate only works via the 240. So you know, right now I've not got a cable plugged in, so I'll put it on the 6, but it won't do anything whatsoever. That'll only do something when you put your hookup in. I have written on the hab sheet how many amps that pulls, or how many maximum amps that pulls. Not for each number, but you know, just gone through and said how many they pull. So each one of these has got a thermocouple on it, and an igniter. So you've got an ignition for every single one. So that's all 3 of those, the grill and the oven as well, all from this one button. And so to actually get it to work, I mean, I don't really need to show you this because it's the same as any other household cooker, but push in and round and hold your igniter for if you want to light it up, and then slowly let go and it will stay lit. So the only thing you need to do, or you need to know about, is the thermocouples. So if, for example, the flame was lit up as it should be, and someone or the wind or something like that blew the flame out, the thermocouple would notice that there's no hot gas coming through, and it would shut the gas off straight away, or after a few seconds anyway. So basically what that means is that you won't be able to fill the van up with unburnt gas. The thermocouple will stop it before it gets to that point. And that's been checked on all of these, the grill, the oven, the lot. So, you know, that all works absolutely as it should. And underneath here, we've got this, which is a couple of gas manifolds. So basically that means that you've got this little diagram, so open and closed, but don't get that confused because they're horizontally facing, all right? So don't think that they are actually closed because they're in that position. If they're running in line with the pipe, it means they're open. If I turn this to like that, that's closed, all right? But the position they're in now, that is open, and the gas is flowing freely to them. And you've got these colours here which tell you exactly what they do. So the green one is for the hob and the oven, and the blue one is for the fridge. Right, so we can close that up. Next behind me, we've got the Truma Ultra Heat. So this is your space heater. So I've had this on for about 10 minutes before because it was really, really cold when I got into the van, just because it's been so cold tonight and so windy. So all you need to do to actually get this to light up and do its own thing is, again, it's got an electric ignition, so you don't have to press any button to light it up. But if I just show you what I'm going to do first, I'm going to turn this around until you start hearing the igniter. So that's now already. And when you get to there, about to 1 or 2, push down on the button, and then you'll see the little pilot flame light up down in that hole. All right, so if I just do that first so you can see. So you can see the little pilot in there now. It's a bit awkward to see on camera. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around a bit further and then lift up. All right, so then you see the main flame kick in. And so now it's just sat there up where it was, but over at 6. So you got to push in and round to 1 or 2, let that light up, and then turn it around even further and just let it up. And once you've done that, and you watch it for about a minute or so, obviously the more confident you get, the less time you'll feel the need to look at it, but just make sure that it doesn't go out just for the first little bit. And once you're happy with it, you can then look over here on the left hand side. So there you go. So it's a good example just there. It went out and the igniter came back on again and clicked it back on. So it will always do that, but just keep your eye on it like that. All right, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just it doing its own thing, getting up to temperature. So, you know, just keep your eye on it for a little bit, and then once you're happy with it, you can take your eye off it. Then look over here on the left-hand side. You got your fan. So don't worry about the A. That's an automatic thing. I don't use it. It's a bit pointless, I think personally. It just chooses the number for you, but it's so easy just to choose your own number. So flick this little lever to the left, and that'll switch the fan on. And then you can switch between 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, depending on how fast you want the air pumping out. And that will pump the air, the hot air from the heater itself through those vents and into the van. There'll also be one in the bathroom, so you know you can keep everything warm. But yeah, so that's all you need to do. Light it up like I showed you. Make sure that you keep your eye on it just for a minute, and then come over here to your fan and just choose how powerful you want it pumping through. And once you've done that, when you switch it off, so if I just show you switching it off now, just turn it all the way around. Don't need to push down, all the way around to 0, and then just make sure, double check that's definitely gone out, which it has. And what I do personally is I just leave the fans on just for 5 or 10 minutes. If you've had it on for a long time, leave the fans on for 5 or 10 minutes, just to get rid of the excess heat, because it does really pump out some hot air. When you've had it on for a little while, they get really, really hot. So just leave the fan on. It's much better to have the hot air pumping around through those vents than it is for it to just leak out through the front, you know, just to pour out of the front. So just let it cool down, just like any sort of newer automatic heater would do, like one of the combi boilers perhaps. That would leave the fan running for 5 minutes after it's been on anyway. So it's just doing the same kind of thing as that. All right, well, I've not had it on very long whatsoever, so I'm going to turn that off now. So next thing, we've got this up here. So you've got a couple of bits. You've got a TV aerial point and a 12-volt socket and two 40-volt sockets, which these two will only work when your hookup's plugged in. So just here, the one with the green light on it, Ultra Store. If you remember that as storing water, so that's your heater, your water heater. Ultra Store, storing water heater. I've got that switched to the gas symbol there, the flame symbol. That means that it's lit up. And if you've just got a green light in the middle, that means it's lit up and perfect. Not, you know, it's doing the right thing. And then in the middle, you can see 30, 40, 50, 60. That's your temperature setting. So that's your temperature of your water. So it really couldn't be any easier. The only thing that you must remember is that you need to take off the little cover, which will be on it when you collect the van. You need to take the little cowl cover off the vent that I showed you on the outside before you try and use this. All right. I mean, it won't light up if you do leave it on, but if it pumps, we just basically be pumping gas through into the chamber and not using it. You know, so just make sure that you definitely take that cover off before you try and light it up. And the one above that, Ultra Heat, that is your space heater. So that's the heater down here, and that is how you use it on 240. So when your hookup's plugged in. So there's 3 little elements behind the actual gas heating part there. Now, if I had a hookup plugged in, I could come here and just literally choose 500, 1000 or 2000. That's the wattage. And then just heat the van up via the hookup. All right, so 1,000, 500, they're about, you know, they're fine. They get your van nice and hot. But if you're in a real hurry, you can use 2,000. And on the hab sheet itself, I've written down how many amps each wattage pulls. Because, you know, if you're going to be on a campsite with a certain amped pole that you're plugged into, then you'll need to be able to work out how many amps you can pull at one time. Because obviously you've got your microwave up there as well. They do draw quite a fair amount of amps. So I think it's about 5 or 6 amps usually. So if you had the heating on 2,000 and you tried to use your microwave at the same time, and perhaps maybe, you know, the electric ring on the cooker, then you're going to blow the fuse, or not the fuse, you're going to trip the switch outside, you know. So just make sure that you sort of add up a little bit just before you sort of start using things. What else do we have in the cupboards? Mainly just storage, really. Just trying to make sure there's nothing else I've missed. Okay, so that's all storage over the top. I can't remember if I showed you, but your toilet, basically the flush on the toilet, it's just this little blue button at the top. So you just press that. As long as you get your pump button on the control panel, and then pop the lid down and just pull the flap. And that's what I was saying outside. If you don't make sure that that flap's closed up in the middle, when you go to take it out from outside, you won't be able to pull it out. So just bear that in mind. Your shower is the same sort of thingy as your same pipe as your sink tap. So that just pulls out and goes up to the top. And then when you are using the shower, this whole system pulls out and makes a little sort of shower unit as well. I'm sure you've probably seen that already. Yeah, so nice and simple. If I just turn the light on off in the bathroom now, close that up. If you want to empty out your fresh water tank, there's one or two ways of doing it. You can either put your pump on and then just pull all the water through and then empty it out via your waste tank. Or if you lift up the carpet, there is this little hatch here. And if there's a couple of screws, screw down here and a screw over in the left corner up there. And if you take those two out, you'll be able to get to the top of your freshwater tank. And there's a little bung inside the tank, so you can empty it out like that as well. But you know, it's up to you. Like I said, you could just pull it all through. But you know, sometimes it's easier just to kind of pull it through the other way. Let's just have a look in here. All these things out of the way. I should have been better prepared, really. So if we look under here, we've got the other gas manifolds. So they're just there. Yeah, all right. I don't think there's much else I can show you, to be honest. I'm just sort of having a look around, making sure. But you know, if there's anything that you think I've missed out, then obviously let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.